In this section, we're going to look at standard form of a quadratic. And from standard form, you're going to identify the key features and graph the quadratic. So in standard form, a quadratic looks like ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are some numbers. A can't be 0, but b or c could be 0 because 0 is an acceptable number. And in order to find the vertex when you have an equation that's in standard form, the process is first you're going to find the x-coordinate. And the x-coordinate has a formula that works for finding the vertex. The x-coordinate is going to be the opposite of b over 2a. So whatever coefficients you have in front of x squared and x are the coefficients you use to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. Once you know the x-coordinate of the vertex, you're going to plug that number into the equation to figure out your y-coordinate. I would put a big star next to this formula because it comes up a lot in this section, and the vertex is not easy to see when you're in standard form, so you have to do a little bit of math in order to get the vertex. Okay, so here's the process for finding the vertex if you have an equation in standard form. First, let's figure out what a and b are. A is the number in front of x squared. I don't see one, so a is 1. And b is the number in front of x, so b is -6. So to find the x-coordinate of the vertex, I'm going to do the opposite of -6 divided by 2 times 1. And if I do that math, I get 6 divided by 2 would be -3. So since I have two negatives, that's going to be x is equal to 3. That means that my vertex is going to start with a 3 as the x-coordinate, but in order to figure out the y-coordinate, I need to do the math and figure out what that y-coordinate is by plugging that back into my equation. So then I would have 3 squared, and I'm taking that quantity squared, minus 6 times 3 plus 10. I like to put shields around my numbers when I put them into an equation, just so that I don't lose any negatives when I do that. 3 squared would be 9. 6 times 3 would be 18 plus 10. And I don't exactly know why, but this always happens where the middle term is going to be double the vertex. I mean the first term. So sorry. So that would be -9 plus 10, and that would be 1. So that means that the y-coordinate of my vertex is 1. Notice how I can't see the vertex when it's in standard form the same way I can when it's in vertex form. Standard form doesn't have the vertex as clear as it is in vertex form. This is one for you to try. I want you to push pause on your video and then come back after you have tried this problem. This is my solution to this problem. I found a and b, and then I used those in x equals opposite of b over 2a to find the x-coordinate. And then once I had the x-coordinate, I used that to figure out the y-coordinate of -11. All right. We can also graph when an equation is in in standard form. It's not as easy as when it's in vertex form, but it is still possible. To find the vertex, we're going to go through that same process again. So opposite of b over 2a. So for us, it's going to be -4 over 2 times 1. So x is going to be 2. And then that means that my vertex is going to be at 2, 4 minus 8 plus 8, so 4. So when I plot my point, I would plot my point at 2, 4. That's my vertex. I know that this parabola opens upward because the a value is 1. I know that the axis of symmetry always matches the x-coordinate of the vertex. I know that the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0. And so when it's in standard form, this c value is always going to be the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is going to be at 0, 8. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that we could fold our parabola down on top, like in half on that line. If our y-intercept is here at 8, then we know because of the axis of symmetry that point is 2 away from the axis of symmetry to the left. There's going to be another point that's 2 away from the axis of symmetry to the right. So here's my parabola, something like that. I'm going to have you pause the video here and try this one on your own. My solution for this one, I figured out the vertex by using opposite of b over 2a for the x-coordinate, plugging the x-coordinate into the equation for the y-coordinate. And then you plotted the y-intercept and its reflection and connected those to make a nice parabola shape. That's all for the first section of this. This is for the first part of this lesson. So good luck, have fun.